If you've spent any time around Grandin Warren, you've seen Prep Seal, and you've probably seen it a lot. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you've seen it so many times that you've just started taking it for granted. And that's totally understandable, because it's everywhere. Just walking from the front doors of Prep to my desk, I pass 20 to 25 Prep Seals. Even I find it easy to overlook them sometimes. But ultimately, I can't take them for granted. I've had the privilege to serve as Prep's communications director since February 2008. I wear a lot of different hats, but as an alum, I think the coolest part is that I can say, a little dramatically, but still truthfully, that I am the keeper of the seal. The ubiquity of the seal, and especially the coat of arms at its center, which we sometimes use on its own, is matched only by the richness of its symbolism. And like so many things at Prep, there's more of a story behind it than you probably realize. So let's take a closer look. First of all, when was the Prep seal introduced? It might be tempting to guess that it goes all the way back to 1872, and I remember making that very assumption when I was a student here. So imagine my confusion when I received an honor pin featuring this symbol, with a scroll and a quill pen. Prep's seal was familiar and distinctive, so why wasn't it on the pins? I was extremely proud of Prep, and I had been fascinated by logos and graphic design more or less since I got my first crayons, so I was a little disappointed. I assumed it must have been some sort of stock design. Shocking, I know, but it turns out teenage boys are pretty good at making flawed assumptions. As a senior and one of the editors of my yearbook, I started to figure this one out. Browsing the shelves of the yearbook office, I made a discovery. The 1922 Sophian, the first volume of what we now call the Petraean, was a window into a very different world at Grandin Warren than the one I knew. But one thing on the cover was familiar, if a bit surprising. It was the quill and scroll from the honor pins, but with a legend proclaiming, in Latin of course, St. Peter's College of Jersey. It wasn't a stock pin design at all. It was the old seal of what was then officially both St. Peter's College and St. Peter's College High School. But it was only in the course of my second prep education, the one that started in the fall of 2007 when I joined the library staff and really continues to this day, and only fairly recently, that I got a definitive answer to the origins of the prep seal we know today. The seal we know emerged at the time of Prep's reincorporation, separate from St. Peter's College, during the 1954-55 school year. As the Petrock reported, with a dose of classic Petrock humor that November, this means that the Prep will probably change its title and seal to St. Peter's Preparatory School. If you intend to die soon, make sure your will specifically states St. Peter's Prep. 3 weeks later, the seal that's still familiar to us nearly 70 years later made its debut on the front page of the Petrock. The accompanying article explained that the seal was designed by Mr. William F. Ryan of the Ryan West Banknote Company, a member of the International Heraldic Academy. It went on to provide a detailed description of the seal that would find its way, with mild modification, into decades worth of student handbooks. Here are some highlights. An inverted Latin cross divides the seal in quarters. This cross symbolizes the martyrdom of St. Peter, as tradition tells us that the first leader of the church did not deem himself worthy to be crucified like his master, but suffered crucifixion with head toward the earth. The field, of course, is maroon. As the student handbook would later say, the traditional color of royalty and nobility and Prep's honored color. The Petrine motif, as the Petrock put it, continues in the two lower quarters with the fisherman's net. This symbolizes both Peter's avocation as a fisherman and his vocation as a fisher of men. In the upper right quarter, we find another symbol of Peter. The golden keys represent the responsibility Jesus entrusted to Peter when he said, "You are Peter, and upon this rock I shall build my church. I shall give to you the keys to the kingdom of heaven." As the Petrock pointed out, the keys are crossed to form a Christogram, as the letter Chi is the first letter of Christ's name in Greek. The upper left quarter bears the 16th century symbol of the Society of Jesus, the crown of thorns encircling the letters IHS. The crown, along with the three nails, are reminders of the crucifixion. The nails also represent the three Jesuit vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. This symbol is given pride of place in the shield, identifying Prep as a Jesuit school. The crest of the shield features a wreath surmounted by a Roman helmet. This classical reference links prep to the tradition of classical education, but its second meaning might be less obvious. It points to the Latin name for New Jersey, Nova Caesarea. The motto, Sub umbra Petri, or Under the Shadow of Peter, recalls the early Christians who would bring the sick to Peter so that his shadow might at least fall on them as he passed. As it was long written in the student handbook, under this same shadow, prep men live and learn. And so, under its new official name, St. Peter's Preparatory School, prep had a new seal that encapsulated so much of its identity. A Jesuit school with St. Peter as its patron and role model, proud to be New Jersey's Jesuit high school since 1872. And just as the old seal had appeared on the cover of the 1922 yearbook, this one adorned the cover for 1955, and it has appeared on numerous other covers since, including my own. From diplomas to decals, from the signs that greet us to the banners that guide us, when we see Prep Seal, really see it, we see a fitting symbol of everything we hold dear about our home at Grandin Warren. I'm just so proud to say that I've had some small part in preserving it and celebrating it. Then, now, always.